Today's video is going to be super fun because I'm going to show you 5 DIY things that you can do this holiday. Ranges from decorations to present wrapping. I'm super excited to show you guys. I think they're super cute and I also think very super affordable. So we're just going to get right into it with the first DIY project. So the first DIY project that I did was a beaded garland. And all you'll need is some string or twine and wooden beads or beads of your choice. I actually had a ton of small wooden beads left over from when I made Bash some pacifier clips, so I went ahead and used the rest of those. You can also use other beads as well. I got some other larger beads just to add a bit of variation to my project. Basically, all you're going to do is just put your beads on the string, and you can basically do this however you want. You can do it very symmetrical and do every third or fourth bead is a big bead, or you can do it randomly. I decided to do it randomly just to add some variation and to make it kind of like the perfectly imperfect Christmas decor, and I absolutely love the way that it turned out. Also, a tip that I learned after I had done this project and I wish I had known before is to put a piece of tape around the end of your string or twine that you're using. It will prevent fraying and will help so much with the whole process. I didn't do that during this and it made it so difficult because I was constantly having to lick or cut off the ends of the string because it kept getting separated. I love the way that this project turned out. I think it was a very neutral and minimal added decoration, and I totally plan on doing this in the future. I want to do a really long one that goes all the way around our tree. So the next DIY project that I worked on is a orange garland, and I love the way that this one turned out as well. It's a fairly simple project, so all you're going to need is oranges, twine, and a cooling rack. So how many oranges you use depends on how long you want your garland, but since mine was in a small space right above my sink, I only used 2. The first thing you're going to want to do is slice up your orange, and you're going to want to make sure that your orange slices aren't too thin. You're going to aim for 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch in thickness. Once your oranges are all sliced, you're going to go ahead and put them on your cooling rack on top of a baking sheet. I went ahead and lined my cooling rack with parchment paper to catch any juices to make for easier cleanup afterwards. Then go ahead and put all your oranges on top of your cooling rack, and once that's done, you can go ahead and put it in the oven at 250 degrees for roughly 2.5 hours. After they've cooled, you're going to use either scissors, a knife, whatever you have to poke a hole through them, and then you're going to go ahead and string them on to your string or your twine. For this particular garland, you don't necessarily need tape around the end of your string. However, it would make it a little bit easier, but I didn't find it too bothersome or too much of a hassle. Once you have your oranges on your string and it's gotten to your desired length, you can go ahead and hang it wherever you like in your house. I love the way that this project turned out. I love the pop of color in my kitchen, and I love that I was able to add a little bit of holiday decor to my kitchen area and basically just somewhere outside of my living room. This next project is making a potato stamp, and I decided to use them for our Christmas cards to add a little bit of a personal touch and a pop of color. What you'll need for this project is a potato, paint, an X-Acto knife, and paper. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and cut the potato either into a 2/3 and 1/3 section or half and half. I suggest the 2/3 and 1/3 just in case so that you have extra room to budge if you mess up. Once you cut your potato, you're going to go ahead and either stencil out with a pencil, or you can go ahead and just straight up cut into it, whatever design you like. I personally found that trying to stencil on my design beforehand did not work very well, so I just went ahead and started cutting into it and working my way through it. You're going to want to make sure that there's a pretty good difference between the top of your stamp and the potato so that any extra paint on the sides doesn't leak onto it. You want to make sure that it has a very firm and distinct stamp on there. Once you have your stamp made, you're going to put out some paint, and then you're going to go ahead and dab your potato in, and then go ahead and just do what a stamp is meant to do and stamp it on your paper. I personally found that just dipping my potato into my paint was just a little bit too much paint and it didn't come out very clean. So I decided to just paint a very thin layer of paint on my potato stamp, and that's how I used it. You can also use a paintbrush to clean up those edges and give it a crisper, cleaner look. Once you've let those dry out, you can go ahead and address it. I've also seen people do the same thing on wrapping paper. They just get some craft paper or some butcher paper and they stamp away at it and make a cute and customizable wrapping paper. It's not much, and not every single envelope turned out perfect, obviously, but I love the way that it looks, and I like that I was able to add just a pop of color to our Christmas cards this year. This next project I thought would be so fun and so great for Sebastian's first Christmas, and it is salt dough ornaments. I thought it'd be so fun to make one for our tree as well as one for each set of grandparents that he has. So what you're going to need for this project is 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of salt, and 3/4 cup of water. You're going to start by preheating your oven to 200 degrees, and then you're going to mix your flour and salt together. You're going to gradually add in water, and if your mixture is still a little dry, go ahead and add some more water. I needed to do that. And just knead it with your hands until it's nice and smooth. After that, you're going to go ahead and roll out your dough to your desired thickness. We went a little thicker because I didn't know exactly how thick to go. I think if we did this again, I'd maybe go a little bit thinner. And then you can either choose to cut with a cookie cutter, or you can add your child's handprint or footprint like we did. We found way more success in the footprints than we did with the handprint. It was really hard to get him to relax enough to put his hand down and to push it in. He was not a fan of that, but doing his feet was so much easier. Before you pop it in the oven, you're going to go ahead and punch a hole if you plan to hang these on the tree, turning them into ornaments or anything. Make sure you put a hole in there. Once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and put them on a baking sheet. I once again lined mine with parchment paper, mostly so they wouldn't cook and bake to the pan. I just wanted easy, quick cleanup and release from the pan. And then you're going to cook it low and slow. So you're going to do 200 degrees for about 2 hours, and you're just going to want to keep checking on them periodically as you get close to that 2-hour mark to make sure that you're not burning them and that they are becoming nice and firm. Once they're done baking, you're going to go ahead and give them time to cool off so that you can touch them, paint on them, whatever you'd like to do. I'm going to go ahead and cut just a few inches of twine. I definitely got shorter the more ornaments that I made with my twine, so just maybe measure out a good length and then duplicate that. And then you can personalize it in whatever way you want. I actually kind of wish that we had maybe written in to the dough before we had baked it, like Sebastian 2019, but I completely spaced that. So I'm just going to use some of the same paint that I used in my project for the stamp, and I'm going to write on the back Sebastian 2019. You're going to want to give it time to dry if you've painted it, but once you're done, you can go ahead and hang it on the tree. I think this is a really cute little touch and one that I want to continue as a tradition for all of my kids' first Christmas, just to have their little handprints on the tree from their very first Christmas. The final DIY project today is going to be gingerbread name tags for your presents. So what you're going to need for this project is a thin corkboard type material, scissors, twine or string, and a paint pen. So I found this really cool, very soft corkboard type material. Also, sorry about any noise in the background, it's my son. But I found this really cool material at Joann's and it was perfect for the project. So I went ahead and actually free-handed this mitten shape, but you can also use like cookie cutters and trace those. Then from there, you're just gonna shake up your paint pen and get that paint flowing and then have at it and just kind of take it wherever you want. I decided to add some dashes to give it that really like sewn gingerbread mitten type feeling, and then I just added some snowflakes, some snow, and bash on there. So after I finished the little mitten, I went ahead and wrapped Sebastian's presents, and then I added a little twine to it, and I just used my scissors to mostly just poke a hole through that so that I could get the twine through. It definitely worked, but if you do have like a hole punch, I would definitely suggest using that. I don't, so I just poked a hole with scissors and it gave the same look. And this is the completed project. I love the way that it turned out. It's so stinking cute, and it really does look like gingerbread with that corkboard type look. I think it was a cute and personal way to add a little bit of extraness to the gift wrapping. Okay guys, that's going to be it for the DIY projects today. I hope you guys like them, and let me know in the comments down below if you plan on doing them or if you end up doing them at all. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. This was really fun to do. And yeah, if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe down below, hit the notification bell, and we'll go ahead and see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.